everybody, it's me, Zach, this is Judy, and welcome back to our channel. Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and I'm back today to discuss somebody I haven't chatted about in a while on my channel, despite actually a lot of people asking for updates about her, but we're going to talk about Life Plus Cindy today. If you don't know a lot about Life Plus Cindy, well, I did cover her a lot for a while. There was just some like crazy stuff happening in her life, and I did cover a lot of those things on my channel, and if I can remember, I'll put together a Life Plus Cindy playlist if you want to go back and watch all of that, get caught up so that you know kind of what's happening here. However, I will give you a quick too long didn't watch, just so you can maybe also remember if you did watch and you've forgotten some of the things about Cindy that make her interesting and fascinating to talk about here on the YouTubies. So the biggest thing is that I had gotten recommended her to me on my YouTube page after she had this pretty big breakup with her at the time husband. Although they might still be legally married, but they're definitely separated, but I don't know the status of any of that, to be honest with you. And so a lot of the things that I covered were the trials and tribulations she went through in terms of all of the separation and stuff like that. It actually started out very fascinating and interesting. I was like really rooting for her. She was like, you know, learning a lot about herself and being independent and things like that. And then it suddenly shifted and got very dramatic for a while. And then it all went back to kind of being like chill, and she went back to learning about herself and being independent and things like that. And that's kind of where I had left things in terms of that particular aspect of her life, right? Like, I had left her when she started getting her life back together. Another thing that I always found interesting about her as a concept was that she was doing the carnivore diet, which if you've watched my channel and the past few months, I've been very fascinated by people who have done or are doing the carnivore diet. In fact, I made a carnivore diet specific video where I covered Cindy, my girl Darlene Michaud, and also Hungry Fat Chick, who a lot of people in this corner of the internet are familiar with. And since making that video, Darlene is going strong on the carnivore diet. She in fact did a 72-hour sardine challenge, which I covered here on my channel. Hungry Fat Chick started out very strict carnivore and has since kind of left it behind, but is still making a lot of progress in terms of her health journey and what she's trying to do. Which also brings us back to Cindy. Now, a lot of people have said, Zach, Cindy's been so unhinged, like, please give us an update. I have to be very transparent that I haven't watched every single one of Cindy's videos. In fact, I haven't watched most of her videos because I've just like moved on to other things on the internet. Like, she hasn't captivated me in the same way, and I haven't done a great job of keeping up with her, although I do check in from time to time. And so I do know that she's been like traveling, going to concerts. She has some friends that she's made in the Arkansas area that she lives in. And she's also started dating again. I don't know all the details about her dating again. I do see maybe some people who might be concerned about that in terms of like, you know, there's always a question of how soon people move on. And in particular, Cindy seemed like somebody that was really trying to live a life of independence outside of a romantic partner. And so I could see maybe some people being a little bit suspicious about how quickly she's found her way into a new relationship. But like Amber Lynn Reed says, love doesn't have a timeline. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe if there is something more to that story, y'all could let me know in the comments and I can look into it. But I had to be honest that I haven't looked super close into it. The thing that I have looked into is her relationship with the carnivore diet, because I was really shocked last week to have one of her videos pop up on my subscription page that said she had officially hit 100 pounds lost doing the carnivore diet specifically, and that she was gonna quit the carnivore diet. And what's fascinating, we're going to talk about that video here in just a second, but as just a tiny bit of a spoiler warning, I have to tell you that the thing that made me want to make this video today is I saw she posted another video just yesterday saying she had failed and that she was going back to the carnivore diet. So my goal today is to break down everything that's happened in the past week regarding Cindy and the carnivore diet and give kind of like my thoughts about it and how I feel about it. Although I will say, not a professional, I'm not a nutritionist, a dietitian, doctor, nurse, therapist, any of those things. This is just strictly my opinion based on the things that I watched her say in her own videos. So to get started, in the video where she talked about quitting the carnivore diet, she did share some of the reasons why she was planning on quitting the carnivore diet, one of which includes like just missing trying new foods, and that's something that her new partner really cares a lot about.
Number one is, I honestly just miss eating different foods. I didn't for a long time. I was perfectly happy just eating meat all the time. But I guess since I've had a new partner in my life who likes to be adventurous with food and eat different things, it really makes me miss that part of life, you know?
So it definitely seems at least a little bit influenced by this new relationship that she's in, which I think makes sense, right? Like, if you're spending a lot of time with a new partner, that probably means you're eating together, which probably means that you're gonna evaluate your food choices with them, or they might be making things for you, or, you know, you just want to enjoy a nice dinner without having to worry about all of that. But she also just talks a lot about diets and why they do or do not work for her. She talks a lot about her experience with PCOS and how her diet really has a huge impact on how much that condition impacts her, affects her, etc. And she insists that under no circumstances will she return to the, you know, general, in her words, standard American diet of processed foods and sugar.
However, under no circumstances will I ever return to the standard American diet filled with processed sugar and highly refined carbohydrates, ever. I will never go back to that type of diet. It made me incredibly sick, exacerbated my PCOS, made me fat, and I'll just never go back to that kind of diet.
So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. She, at this point, has, you know, this vision that she's gonna really stick to her guns on. She's never gonna go back to that. It's a non-negotiable. It's not gonna happen. She also acknowledges that she is worried about having like an unhealthy relationship with food, that she doesn't want to have any kind of like disordered eating or things like that.
So my plan is to track my calories, eat 15 to 1600 calories a day of whole foods that I enjoy, and hopefully I'll be able to maintain my weight like that and stay healthy. And I'm going to try not to develop an eating disorder around this if I can help myself. I do tend to have a lot of disordered thoughts around eating. I do tend to have a lot of weird food rules, and I mean, I'm not healthy. I don't have a healthy relationship with food. I'm trying to get better. And I think that this is a good step in the right direction, and also it's also going to make me healthier because my health has not been great lately.
Which I do think is interesting because I think a lot of people would identify things like the carnivore diet to be borderline disordered eating, especially depending on the way that you're doing it. I mean, I think the way that we've seen Darlene, for instance, consume things on the carnivore diet where she's like some days only eating butter, like in my head that comes across as what I would imagine disordered eating to look like. And on top of that, she's acknowledging that like she herself has not always had a great relationship with food and does have like a lot of specific rules for herself when it comes to things that she wants to eat or not eat. And I also just want to emphasize that during this video, she says that she thinks it is possible to be healthy on the carnivore diet, but it's not possible for the carnivore diet to be healthy for her.
I can just feel that I'm not as healthy as I used to be. And that's not to say that I do believe you can be healthy on the carnivore diet, but I am not healthy on the carnivore diet.
So hold on to that one as well. One of the things that I thought was interesting is that she was talking a lot about the aesthetics of what her body looked like. At one point she was talking about wanting, you know, skin surgery and talking about like the working out and stuff that she wants to do to like firm up and tone up some parts of her body. And I'm mostly just including this because I think it's kind of a little bit refreshing to just hear somebody say that part of their motivation for doing a diet and working out and things like that is to look hot.
But to be honest, I want to be hot. I'm not doing all of this just for health. Like, yeah, I want to be healthy, but I also want to be attractive, and I don't think there's anything wrong with admitting that. It's okay to want to be attractive, to want to improve the way you look. And I do.
I don't know, maybe it's just because I watch a lot of content like this where I feel like people are constantly saying like, you know, I'm not doing this because I care about what I look like, whoever, whatever. It's fascinating, right? Like, I think the emphasis always wants to be put on like the health part of it, which is probably, I mean, truly the most important part. But, you know, I do think it's like kind of, I don't know, maybe refreshing isn't the word, but different to hear somebody so adamantly just say out loud, like, I just want to be hot. Not necessarily a bad thing, just something I thought was interesting. So in that video where she talks about quitting carnivore, she does go on to show herself like cooking food for the day or getting meals ready for the day, shows a grocery haul of the stuff that she's bought. And I think it ends up showing that she is really working on like, or needs to work on fixing the way that her brain thinks about food.
I am feeling very nervous about eating this. This is much higher in carbs than anything I've eaten in the past year. And I do have some anxiety about it. I really do. I'm not gonna lie and pretend like it's all just great and I'm perfectly fine, because I'm not. I do have some disordered thoughts around eating, around carbs and stuff. And so this is just part of my healing journey. My food, relationship, healing journey? I don't fucking know, y'all. I'm trying, okay?
Because she talks about this being part of her, like, so like she first starts out making this bowl of oatmeal, right? And she talks about how this is a part of her healing journey with food, which I think emphasizes the concept that like she doesn't think that she has a good relationship currently with food with the way that she does the carnivore diet. Like something is telling her that only eating meat and animal products is not a good relationship with food. And it's clear that she is still thinking this because when she's talking about eating the oatmeal, she talks about being worried that this one bowl of oatmeal is gonna make her gain 20 pounds.
Part of my brain is screaming at me that I'm gonna gain 20 pounds if I take a bite of this. But the other part of me is saying, this sounds and smells so delicious that I just want to eat it, so I'm doing it.
Which is obviously not super rational thinking or like logical thinking, right? Like one bowl of oatmeal is not gonna put you over like that. She also goes on later to worry about a little lunch plate that she makes for herself, which really just has like mandarin oranges, apples, crackers, meat, and cheese on it. And she talks about being worried that she ate too much food there as well.
I ate the entire plate of food. And I truly felt like that was more food than I should eat. Like, it felt like a lot. I was just eating and eating and eating. I was like, there's so much food. It feels like more food than I should be allowed. So I'm gonna have to wrap my mind around that.
So I guess I'm saying all of these things because, you know, she's worried about her relationship with food and disordered eating and things like that. And all of that to me is just like, sounds like red flags, right? Like I'm not a professional. I don't know if it really is a red flag or not, but talking about those things is concerning. And it sounds like something maybe she should talk to a professional about just to see, you know, like, is this normal behaviors? Is this regular thinking? Whoever, whatever. So that, of course, brings us to our most recent video where she literally, the title of it is just like, I failed. I failed. That's not the whole title. Normally I have these things all like written up in front of me, but I don't have the title of the video for whatever reason. But basically the concept of this video she posted yesterday was that she failed by trying to not do the carnivore diet. She just failed, 100% failed. And in fact, like the first few minutes are just like her going off the rails, talking about how she went off the rails.
Anyway, the purpose of this video is to let you know that I have failed. miserably. Going off the carnivore diet was a huge mistake. I really thought because I had lost all this weight that maybe my hormones would be more under control and I would be able to handle myself around food. But it turns out I cannot and never will be able to again. Never have been able to, never will be able to. I did a strict carnivore diet for almost a year, and then I started to slide a little bit. I started to give myself permission to eat other foods. It started out with a salad. I was like, I could have a little side salad. It'll be fine, no big deal. Then I ate some mushrooms. Then I started to eat broccoli, and then I was like, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I can go off carnivore and I could eat oatmeal and fucking pancakes and crackers and apples. And that was a terrible mistake. I have gone off the rails. I have been binge eating junk food for days.
One of the things that I think is particularly interesting is that she talks about the differences between Jack Daniels and broccoli for her.
So a lot of people ask me, Cindy, how on earth can you justify drinking Jack Daniels, but you think broccoli's gonna make you fat? Well, let me tell you a little something about PCOS, insulin resistance, and hormonal hunger. I don't think eating broccoli is going to make me fat in and of itself. I think eating broccoli and salad and mushrooms is going to lead to me giving myself permission to eat other foods like oatmeal and bananas and crackers. And that is going to lead to me binging Sonic milkshakes in the middle of the night. And that is exactly what has happened.
Which I honestly just think is so ridiculous because obviously the concerns about Jack Daniels and broccoli are just like insane in general. Like the comparisons of those two things that are so different. It's just so wild that like we've gotten to a place where she's got to defend why she drinks Jack Daniels but can't eat broccoli. And I also just want to note that like when it comes to a discussion of Jack Daniels and drinking and stuff with Cindy, one of the things that was of concern back when I was covering her at the beginning of 2023 was the amount she was drinking, to the extent that she herself in videos talked about how she was going to get rid of all the alcohol in her home because it was a problem for her. So I do still think that is a concern for her, regardless of what broccoli does or doesn't do for her in her diet. But according to her, broccoli is something that leads to her binging on milkshakes. Which does remind me of the various times that Amberlynn Reed has talked about how broccoli is triggering for her. So I did think that was interesting. But according to Cindy, broccoli gives her permission to binge. It's just one of those things that sends her into a spiral.
And it's not the broccoli itself. I'm not trying to demonize the food. It's just that in my fucked up mind, it gives me permission to continue down that slope, eating the things that I know are going to lead to a binge.
But interestingly enough, much later in the video, when she has now returned to eating carnivore, she mentions that things like salsa, which is all plant-based ingredients, for whatever reason, doesn't send her into a spiral.
And then here's my sausage omelet, and she's bringing me some salsa. They make the sausage here locally, and it is so good. That's why I always get sausage omelet here. And here's my omelet with the salsa, which I still eat even though I'm on carnivore. Salsa is one of those condiments that doesn't send me down a spiral of sugar binge.
So I don't know, that just is all very interesting to me as a concept, like the concept that broccoli could do that to you. It's interesting to me. I'm not saying like I have any understanding of what's going on in Miss Cindy's brain. I'm just saying that it's a fascinating concept to me personally. But she does go on to talk about how the only thing that's ever helped her feel any kind of control over her diet is doing this carnivore 100% diet and cutting out all the plant foods completely.
And the only thing that's ever made me feel in control is to cut out all plant foods completely.
Which one is interesting because obviously she's not cutting out all plant foods specifically because she's keeping in at least the salsa for that one meal that I already showed you. But I also think it's interesting because if you go back to the first video that we were talking about today, she was talking about how this was supposed to be a healing journey for her, right? Like, she was talking about how, you know, reuniting with these foods that she liked to eat in the past was all a part of her healing her relationship with food because she was acknowledging somewhere that maybe eating only meat-based products was not a healthy relationship with food. And to me, this just sounds like the opposite of that if we're using Cindy's logic in own words. She also talks about how she hasn't always done her best in recent history with the carnivore diet, and that she definitely could go about it in a better way than she had been.
Now, I have not always done the best with my diet because I went through a period of extreme depression and I wasn't eating the best. I wasn't eating a lot. I was drinking a lot. I wasn't eating the healthy foods that I needed. But I do believe that you can be healthy on a carnivore diet. It doesn't matter to me what anybody else believes. I know that to be true, and I have to do what works best for me. I can't do whatever random commenter 34 thinks I should do. I can't do what my friends think I should do, my family thinks I should do. I have to do what I know works for me.
And again, this drinking thing that she was talking about is a lot of the reasons why people probably are concerned about her consuming Jack Daniels, because she has drank a lot while also eating carnivore in the past, and it's a concerning behavior for all kinds of different reasons that aren't related directly to her weight loss, right? Like, I think people often get concerned when people see somebody drinking like that and like with that behavior and things like that. So, I still think the Jack Daniels thing could be of concern, although it does sound like maybe Cindy, at least according to herself, has a better relationship with that today. But I do just also want to say that this sudden, thought on how, she can be healthy and do carnivore is such a, quick turnaround from the last video I covered where she specifically did say that she couldn't do carnivore in a healthy way. So it's just interesting to me that a week later, she's already ready to say, no, I can definitely do this healthy. This can be healthy. And you can tell that she already knows that she's gonna have to put up some defenses because she's resorted to the classic actual YouTube mom response, which is, I don't care what anybody else thinks, this is what works for me and my family. It's giving that energy big time, okay? And then I just want to give you a little glimpse into Cindy describing exactly how she lost control over the 8 days that she stopped doing the carnivore diet.
Yesterday was like, okay, I'm going back on carnivore, so I ate some burger patties for lunch. By dinner time, I was balls deep in Oreo milkshakes and fried chicken sandwiches and cheese fries, okay? And I wasn't even hungry. These are just binges because I wanted sugar. I wasn't even hungry. I had eaten a bag of tortilla chips, a family-sized bag of tortilla chips with hummus, salsa, and peanut butter, alternating between the dips. And when I finished that, I decided to order Sonic. After I ate all that, I was so full that I felt sick. I felt disgusting. I was really disappointed in myself. And that was the worst binge that I had, but the day before that, I also ordered Sonic. I ate a cheese coney, chili cheese fries, and a cheesecake milkshake. Earlier in the day, I went to McDonald's, had a McChicken sandwich with a large fry. The day before that, I had a pumpkin waffle at Waffle House, toast, hash browns with cheese, bacon, eggs, the whole freaking all-star breakfast. And then I also ordered a pizza, ate an entire medium Domino's pizza. The day before that, I also had McChicken sandwich with a vanilla milkshake and fries at McDonald's. So I have not been doing well.
Which I would really be missing an opportunity if I didn't ask y'all what you knew about being balls deep in an Oreo milkshake, chicken sandwich, cheesy fry situation type of deal. But in general, based on the way that she described about a week long of eating, I do think that sounds like disordered and or concerning eating. Again, not from a professional sense, just if I had a friend that was doing all of that, I would probably ask them if I could help support them or what ways I could support them or, you know what I'm saying? It seems like concerning behavior from an untrained eye. I will say, with the context of like how much she was talking about binging, she does go on later to say that while people might think that the carnivore diet is unhealthy, that obviously eating the carnivore diet and not binging on all of that is much healthier for her specifically. So I think that is important to keep in mind in terms of like being fair to her, because she's obviously not eating like that when she is on the carnivore diet. But it is interesting in this video, she's already talking about exceptions. In addition to the salsa, she also talks about exceptions for things like her Jack Daniels and her Coke Zero. But again, she knows it might not be healthy for everybody. She's just changed her mind now. It's the best thing for her and her family, so she just wants to reiterate that for you all.
If you don't believe that the carnivore diet is healthy, that is your prerogative, that is your opinion, that is fine with me, it doesn't bother me, doesn't impact my health. I do believe it is healthy for some people, not everyone. I will never try to push this diet on anyone or say it's a good diet for anyone else, but for me, it is the best thing I have ever found to help with my PCOS symptoms, my binge eating, my sugar addiction. It gets rid of all of that.
So yeah, that is what's going on with Cindy right now. I don't know if that's what people in my comments have meant by she's unhinged. I wouldn't even necessarily call this particular behavior unhinged by any means. I think it's just like, she had a moment of maybe weakness, or I don't know, it sounds like really, maybe not even that. To me, it just seems like this is ongoing, continued struggles that she has with food that would maybe be better off to discuss with a therapist than online. But also, saying all of that, like, she has talked about food as a part of her channel for a very long time, so I'm sure it feels very natural to her to have these conversations with her YouTube audience and to talk to the people on YouTube about it. I don't know. I don't think she's like inherently a bad person because she's struggling with her food or her diet or things like that. I just do continue to be very fascinated by carnivore and the people on carnivore, and kind of like the way that I've seen now multiple people partake in it and like already come from like a defensive place of like, I need you to know why this diet works and is amazing and things like that. It's just all fascinating to me, you know? You feel me? You feel me now, Mr. Krabs? Good. So anyways, that is all I have for today. So that's your Life Plus Cindy update. No promises on when the next one's coming, but I did feel compelled after seeing her quit the carnivore diet and then immediately started up again a week later. I was just like, oh, this is interesting. I'm sure that my audience would be interested in hearing about it and talking about it and having a conversation. So that's all I have today. That's it. That's all. I'm done. I'm done right there. But thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate your support on all of my videos, even when I'm not talking about Miss Amberlynn Reed. If you're brand new to my channel, consider subscribing down below. Hit the bell button so you get a notification for every single time I post. Leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media, including my Twitch re-upload channel, where I have been posting the reactions that I do on Twitch onto YouTube, so people that don't want to go to Twitch can watch it over here on the YouTubies. I love you all so much, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!